Good morning, everybody. My name's Andy and I'm the Partner Manager for Bytes. Thank you for attending our webinar. Today we'll be discussing Microsoft NAV 2018, the latest ERP solution from Microsoft. To assist Bytes in delivering success as Microsoft's #1 cloud partner, we work with a number of specially selected partners. Quantic are a lead Dynamics partner for Bytes, covering the entire Dynamics stack, and are accredited as part of the Microsoft Inner Circle for Dynamics. So as much as today is focused on NAV, Quantic can support any Dynamics solutions that you have. The webinar will be hosted by Nick and Andrea of Quantic. A quick bit of housekeeping. During the webinar, you are muted, but you can submit questions at any time via the questions box on the right-hand side of your screen. There is a Q&A session at the end to answer all of the submitted questions. The webinar recording will be made available and emailed to you. And also, if you can please complete the critique form at the end, where you can request a callback from one of the specialists at Quantic. Okay, I'll now hand you over to Andrea to start the webinar.
Okay, thank you very much, Andy. Good morning, everyone, and a warm welcome to the NAV 2018 webinar, which is brought to you by Bytes in partnership with Quantic, as Andy says. Firstly, we're going to run through some introductions to the presenters, and then I'm going to tell you a bit about who are Quantic. If you have any questions, as Andy said, if you can type them in, but we'll hold a session at the end, so there will be some time. And as always, you can engage with your Bytes account manager at any time who can engage with us to assist. Okay, so my name is Andrea Bright, and I'm a practice manager at Quantic, particularly for the NAV product. I'm going to talk to you a bit about Quantic and how we work to deploy solutions to various types of businesses. And with me today is Nick Bradley, who is a senior solution consultant, and he's going to be talking about the Microsoft Dynamics product and demonstrating some of NAV 2018 to you. Okay, so at Quantic, we strive to make business simpler for everyone. Working with Quantic gives you a partner that appreciates the mission-critical nature of building intelligent business systems that spark productivity. As a lead Microsoft Dynamics partner, Quantic deploys industry-leading Dynamics CRM, ERP, and analytical solutions in the cloud, hybrid cloud, and on-premise. Providing business consultancy, design, implementation, and managed services, we have successfully deployed Microsoft Dynamics over 800 times. Delivering solutions with the highest level of professionalism means we build strong client relationships whilst growing a smart, innovative thinking team. Okay, so here are some fast facts about Quantic. You can see we have experience in a multitude of deployments, both in the UK and internationally. With 880 implementations which stretch across large-scale transformation projects to delivering specific functionality in Dynamics. That's all done with just over 900 years of combined Dynamics experience in our teams. Our entire organisation is designed to produce effective, improved ways of working powered by Microsoft Dynamics technology. We also have the accolade, as Andy mentioned, of being within the Microsoft Inner Circle for Microsoft Dynamics, which puts Quantic at the top 1% of the Microsoft channel globally. Okay, so Quantic is one of the small number of companies with the capability to implement across the full Microsoft suite of applications. Technology is evolving much faster these days, and it's much faster than ever before. So Quantic ensures that we keep pace with that change. We do this through investing in our training of our staff and using the tools wherever possible ourselves internally. So we're users of CRM, we use a Dynamics ERP, and we use Power BI throughout the organisation. We use other Microsoft tools extensively like OneNote and SharePoint, which I'll come to further in the presentation. Additionally, we use other tools like Visual Studio Team Services, which is going to be referred to as VSTS going forward. This is a deployment and management of development, so it enables us to make sure that we're sharing our approach to development and the deliverables as a result online in real time. So how does this benefit you? Our experience across all applications enables us to work to understand your needs and future strategy and recommend the right solutions dependent upon these. We're familiar with Microsoft and how to manage technology changes throughout the life cycle of a project. We've got insight into what's coming down the line, with all of our consultants and developers ensuring they're up to date on the Microsoft roadmap. The richness of features and functionality has changed the focus on many projects to configuration, user adoption, and business process change, rather than long drawn-out development projects. Our teams are encouraged to stay close to standard product as possible, ensuring that upgrade paths, supportability, and the ability for you to adopt new features quickly in the future is possible. Okay, so here are some of our Dynamics clients. I'm sure there's names that everybody will recognize on this slide somewhere along the line. For us, this actually demonstrates and shows the cross-section of type of industries we've implemented across in the UK and internationally. Okay, so we've got a number of advisory and implementation services available to our partners and clients. These are designed to have a structured approach based on a wealth of knowledge that we have within the team at Quantic. However, we know our clients are not all the same, and one size does not always fit all. So where appropriate, our consultants and developers will encourage the challenge back to you to ensure success for everyone. This can be a technology challenge, a methodology, or simply a small piece of functionality or a process change that is regardless of the type of delivery and service. This gives us the right results for you. Okay, so what is Dynamics? I'm going to hand over to Nick, who's going to introduce Dynamics NAV to you.
Thanks, Andrea. Dynamics NAV is an enterprise resource planning solution from Microsoft, ideally suited to small to medium-sized businesses. NAV is one solution in which a business can manage finance, inventory, order processing, production, service management, jobs or projects for one or a number of companies. Our clients range in size from a handful of users into the hundreds. Let's have a look at the product roadmap next. The latest version of Dynamics NAV is 2018, and this was released last December. This can be deployed on-premise, in a client's data center, in a client's Azure environment, or in an Azure environment with one of our partners. Within the next few weeks, however, we are expecting a new software as a service version of NAV available on the Azure platform. This currently has the code name of Tenerife, but it's expected to inherit the Dynamics 365 brand name when it arrives. Next, I'm going to show you some of the latest features of NAV 2018, which will also be included in the Dynamics 365 product. The first area we're going to look at is the NAV Web Client. This works on all popular browsers, including Microsoft's Edge and Internet Explorer. Also, Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, and Safari. It's easy to use and easy to customize. A security certificate is required for the device from which you wish to connect. The web client is easy to administer, as when the user logs in, they will see their familiar NAV role center and get their permissions. This is the standard order processor role center using the web client in NAV 2018. Let's go first to the item list. So, we're going to start with the item list. This shows all the items or products that we have in the system in a list. In a list view, you can sort the data by any field simply by clicking on the column heading. Let's sort the items by category, for instance. Right now, we're looking at a detailed list, but there are also other options to view your data. Over here on the right-hand side, we have some other buttons to show tall tiles or wide tiles. When I click on the wide tiles, I'll see items with their pictures plus some basic information, including the item code, the description, the retail price, the unit of measure, and the quantity we have in inventory right now. When I click on the tall tiles, I see a larger picture, and again, this basic information. Let's go back to the list view. The search facility is really easy to use. I can filter by attribute, and this gives me the ability to select attributes that are in the system and filter by them. And as a business user, you can create these attributes yourself and define how you want to use them. So this is, in fact, colors. So we're now restricting by our red items, as you can see. Let's go to our customer facility, our customer list here for a moment. And you'll see another feature that we have here. We can personalize this view by simply clicking up on the right-hand side. Now you will see at the top that I have a recording view here for personalization. And you'll see here the little red flag. That means I'm in recording mode for personalization. And here I can set a freeze pane. Freeze pane works just like it does in Microsoft Excel, where I can lock some of the columns and then scroll across to the right to see all the other columns. You'll also see here that I can hide columns with the bottom option on the drop-down list, and I can hide or freeze panes. I can also drag and drop columns into the order in which I wish to see them. So I can pretty much customize this list however I want to see it. And you'll also see here, if I click the More button, I can, and there's a plus field button on the top right-hand side. So now down on the right-hand side, I have all the columns that are actually available on this form. And I can decide which ones I want. So if I want to add some more columns, like payment terms code, for instance, I can just drag that across into the space where I want it on the column. I can also continue to hide, and you'll see down on the right-hand side here, I've got a complete list of everything available to me. The other area you'll see here is called fact boxes. Now, it may be the case that I want to decide which column, which order I want to see my fact boxes in. So I can literally drag and drop these around. I can hide them. I can move them around. So in this case, I may want my statistics at the top and my entries lower down. And so I can just drag and drop these around. You'll also see links and notes here. These are other useful fact boxes. When I'm done with my fields and I'm happy with it, I just click Done, and this will save the personalization for me as a user. So when I come back in and look at this list, I will have the configuration that I've saved. And that basically sums up our quick overview of the web client in NAV 2018. Let's have a look at the universal app for smartphones next. So we can run this on an Apple, an Android, or a Microsoft platform. You can connect your device using a Wi-Fi or a 3G or 4G phone network. You need a security certificate installed on the device in which to make it work. And it's very easy to administer because the user just gets the role center that they would get by default when they log in, and they also inherit their permissions. So this is the Business Relationship Manager Role Center running on an iPhone using the Universal app. There are a number of activity queues or tiles on this role center, and they're used to provide quick access to both important data and some of the most commonly used functions. The colors can be set by the user to alert when thresholds are reached. On the top row, we can see contacts. So if I click on my person contacts, I will see a list of the contacts in our system. As we scroll down through the role center, we can see other queues displaying other data, for example, opportunity records in various statuses, sales documents below these, such as quotes and orders, plus any active sales campaigns. And below this, quick start buttons to create new records. The self-service area, which we'll see, is for staff who might use timesheets. And at the bottom of the screen, we have a queue that takes us to My User Tasks. If we scroll to the left, we see the first chart to which we have access. This is a sales pipeline funnel showing opportunities in various statuses. Scrolling again opens a pie chart showing opportunities filtered for 2 particular salespeople. And scrolling once more shows us a bar chart of the top 5 opportunities we have right now. These charts are drillable, and these are just standard examples. An administrator can create other useful charts and show them on each role center. Clicking the hamburger icon bottom left opens up a list view. Let's have a look for an item. I want to find my Athens desks. Here we are, and I can see what our stock position looks like from this view. I can see that we have 100 on purchase order right now. That's good to know. And when I click on the blue number here where it says 100, I can drill through to the order lines for this particular item. I can swipe downwards and look at this in more detail, and I can work my way back through these screens as well. Let's go back to the role center now. Let's see how easy it is to create a new contact using the app. I'll click on New Contact and enter a name into the name field. In this case, we'll type James Brown. And James is going to be a person, not a company. So on my iPhone scroller, I select person. I do want to link James to a company in NAV, however, called the Canon Group. And so I can just do a quick lookup and search for this in the app. There's the Canon Group. So you can see as we scroll down, the company address has been copied. And if I want to give James his own address, I can overtype these fields. But for now, let's just enter the mobile number. The email field is populated by the company email if there is one. But again, I can overtype all or part of this as desired. I can also record other data on this screen if I need to. So from the role center, let's have a quick search for James. I click on the people contacts and I do a quick find. Just type in James and there he is on the list. I can click on the page and open the record. And there we are. That concludes our quick overview of the smartphone app for NAV. The next area we're going to look at is the Outlook add-in for NAV. It has the following great features. It surfaces data real time from NAV in your Outlook client. It makes it easy to add new contacts and people into NAV and link them to customers. It allows you to create documents directly, both incoming and outgoing. It provides intelligent email interpretation for items on documents. And it will work in the local Outlook client or the web client. Let's take a look. So what you see here is the inbox of Spencer Lowe, our demo user in the Outlook desktop client. This facility, as I said, also works in the web client, but I'm going to use the desktop version really so that we can make the screen sizing a little bit easier because we can drag and drop the fields around and expand the columns to suit, just like this. But the functionality is basically the same in the web client. So what we have here is an email from a contact called David So asking for some pricing for furniture. As you can see above here on the right hand side over the preview pane, we have some icons which come from the NAV add-in. Let's click on Contact Insights to start with. Now, because David is associated with an existing customer of ours, the Canon Group, then we see customer related information here. If the Canon Group was a vendor, then I would see vendor related data. And if they were both, I could choose whether I want to see the customer information or the vendor information. So in this case, David is linked to a customer and I can see information such as the current balance, an age debt report, various other fields. And if I come down a little bit, we can see open documents. So this includes the fact boxes down here on the right hand side for things like sales orders and sales quotes and so on. This is our age accounts receivable, and these documents also show posted documents. This is history in NAV. Also, as we come down, we'll see some more customer statistics from NAV, and at the bottom there are dimensions. These are financial dimensions that may be attached to this customer for analysis purposes. So I can drill into any of these details and see more information, and this is live information coming from NAV directly. The other ability I have is to create new documents, which is useful because David's actually asking for a quote from some of our products. And what he wants is some Athens desks, some whiteboards, some Munich chairs, and some desk lamps. He's also asked for pricing for Moscow chairs. So I can create a new document directly in response to this from here. I could create a sales order or a sales invoice, as you'll see here in the list. But in this case, I'm going to create a quote because he's just asked for some prices. So what the system's done now is actually read this email and tried to interpret the text in terms of the products we may have in our system. I'm just going to drag this window out a little bit so that we can see more clearly what's going on. Okay, so what the system's done is it looked for the description, matched the product where it can, and filled in the quantity that was requested on the right-hand side. We can see here also that there is an item the system can't resolve because we've been asked for some whiteboards. But if I click on Resolve Items, you can see there are 6 products that include this description. So we can select one of these, and you can also see that it's usefully telling us how many we have in stock right now. So let's select the Calgary whiteboard, which is one of our models, and add that to the list. And we can also add another line. So the Moscow chairs are something that I want to add in here. So I can just do a quick look up into my product list. And I think the Moscow swivel chair is fairly near the top. So I could do a find on this, or I can just scroll down through the list and select it. Okay, let's enter a quantity of 1 so we get the price. So when we're happy with this list, again, I could add extra items or change the quantities, but all I have to do once I am happy is say OK. And at this point, the system creates a sales quote for us. This is a quote created directly in NAV, and so I can review all the other information I also get on the quote. These are mainly defaults from the customer record, and I can change these and also the lines if I want to. If I want to see a larger version of this window, I can click Pop Out. I still don't have to go into NAV separately, it just opens. And here we have a quote screen in a larger format. Of course, I can now edit this and then email it if I wish to as a PDF to our customer. This is a quote number of 1010, you'll notice. So this is a nice, quick and easy way to use NAV within Outlook without having to click backwards and forwards to open applications separately. Just out of interest, what we're going to do in a second is go over to NAV, and here is our role center. I'm just going to refresh the screen, and when I've done that, you will see that we have 7 sales quotes now in the system. So let's take a look. And the last one is number 1010, which was one we just created. And so here it is in NAV. So we could now go through our approval process and convert this quote into an order in the normal way. So that really finishes off our overview of the Outlook add-in for NAV 2018. The next area we're going to look at is user tasks. User tasks are easy to use. They will appear on your role center. Tasks don't have to be functions in NAV. They can just be reminders or tasks related to your work. And tasks can be one-off or recurring. Tasks can be assigned to yourself or to other users. So let's have a look at tasks in the role center. I've logged in as the accounting manager this time, and on this role center you can see various queues or tiles. One of these is pending user tasks. Let's just go and create a user task. What I want to do is remind myself to check the credit limits of our customers. So this is a simple thing to do if I just click on New Task. I need to enter a subject, so let's do that now. This is mandatory, and I can choose to enter a task description if I want a bit more information for myself or another user. So let's just enter review credit limit for all customers. And you'll see there's some spell checking here on Chrome, which is useful for me. I can assign this task to a particular user. Now I'm going to assign it to myself. I'm the admin in this case, but I could assign it to another user. I put in a due date to tell me when this task needs to be done by. In this case, let's pick the end of March. And you see here the percentage complete. This is something that can be updated as you go along. If the task involves a number of stages, you can come back and review that and update. We also have a start date, so a task may take more than one day. In this case, it won't, so I'm going to put the start date the same as my completion date, due date. And you'll see underneath, we can link a task to an area in NAV. This can be a report or a page. Now, we don't have to do this again, but it's very handy if you want to give the user a quick shortcut to that area of NAV that is relevant to this task. In this case, I do, and I'm going to select my one of my customer pages. In fact, the customer list is the one that I want because I can see the credit limit very quickly and easily from the customer list. So that's the page that I want to select. And it's selected 22. And on the right-hand side, you'll see here that there's a name there. It's filled in customer list for me. I can also set a priority for this task if I wish to. And that's all the basic stuff on the task really set. The other thing that I can do is set if I want a task to be recurring, which we mentioned before. So if I click on recurrence, I can set a start date. I can set the number of, the frequency and then the number of occurrences I want if I wanted to make this a repeat. I can also add links to external documents and websites, notes and so on, or I can also add notes. When I say go to the task list, then it opens that particular page that I set. So I said, please open my customer list page, and that's how this works from here. So I've basically completed my task list, and if I close it here, I will now see back on my role center that I have one pending task for this user, and I can go back in and update it. If I go mark as complete, then it sets the task as 100% complete automatically. So that's it, a quick walkthrough of a nice, simple to use tool in NAV. I will now hand you back to Andrea.
Thank you for that, Nick. I hope what you've seen today, sorry, I'm just going to go back a slide, hit the keyboard there, apologies. I hope what you've seen today in the Dynamics NAV product and the roadmap gives you a good insight into how the business could possibly benefit from a Dynamics NAV deployment. But first of all, now let's focus on the deployment and the technology behind how we do this and bring it to you. So at Quantic, we have a pragmatic approach on how and where to apply the appropriate implementation methodology. Indeed, again, one size doesn't fit all where methodology is concerned. We're fully experienced in delivering projects in classic waterfall style approach, agile, and the Quantic Swift methodology, which is a templated-based start with client questionnaires instead of a more lengthy analysis approach. It's key to us that we have an open, collaborative approach to project delivery founded on cost reduction, risk reduction, and effective time management. In the instance of waterfall, the impact to the client is a protracted project with gated milestones across each phase. Whereas Agile sees an impact on risk as the faster approaching requires diligence and scrums with daily stand-ups to ensure the quality. Swift impacts on cost positively as it fast-tracks the project at the start with a templated approach and gives the client exposure to the software solution early. This then continues through the standard deployment phases. The Quantic delivery methodologies is a prescribed set of methodologies for deploying Microsoft Dynamics based on the SureStep methodology. It provides a product-specific and general project-based timelines, workflows, process maps, and tools to assist the implementation. The fundamental differences between the methodologies is shown on the slide, but in summary, Waterfall is a more traditional approach where we take the client through each of the project phases with stage gates to close a stage before commencing the next. Whereas Agile provides an iterative approach where the client receives a number of releases of the software as the delivery team builds the content of the agreed product backlog together. This can still be phased, but generally has short sprint cycles of 2 to 3 weeks, which make up the final delivery of the solution. This is often where you'll hear the term MVP, or minimum viable product. This is where time buckets are agreed in order to deliver the base minimum solution as quickly as possible. Again, this can be phased further to deliver more functionality as required in phases 2, 3, etc. But it does ensure that the must-haves are always dealt with first in the first release. Swift is a Quantic-specific methodology where we start with a standard system walkthrough and coach the project teams on completing a set of predefined questionnaires. The answers will be used to provide a base client configured system, and this saves time on analysis and designed to prevent lots of gap development being considered or completed in the initial phase. However, gaps are a daily fact of software implementations, and our teams will do their very best to encourage standard functionality and will demonstrate processes that could be followed instead of modifying Dynamics. We don't want to change the Dynamics solutions unless we really have to. So once the templated analysis is initially completed, we progress through the standard delivery aspects of a project in a waterfall type style, but this takes you through the training, user acceptance, cutover through go live, etc. We have a number of tools to support all of the project approaches discussed today. These are initiated by Quantic and shared with our clients via SharePoint, which essentially gives us all good visibility of our projects every step of the way. We use tools and elements like VSTS or Visual Studio Online that I mentioned earlier, which is actually giving good visibility to everybody of any development and unit test and ultimately end-to-end test with the client. SharePoint, where we collaborate on all of our documentation and monitor risks and issues. We use OneNotes for workshops for instant visibility of the notes that we're taking across both project teams, and the budgetary information and status reports. Additionally, we've got a wealth of standard NAV process guides that we have generated and sample test scripts, which are available in a number of formats to assist our clients in their learning journey. And this is during and after the project is completed. Our aim is to make your project predictable, automated where possible, and a proactive experience. After the project has gone live at Quantic, we have a managed services team who are ready to help with daily issues or requests, maybe to extend functionality. This slide shows some statistics from our managed services team. The transition to managed services is all part of the project lifecycle for the Quantic team, so ensures a smooth move from project to business as usual. This involves us bringing in the managed services team onto the project in the deployment phase to assist in supporting our clients during the user acceptance testing. This building of the project team to include managed services means you already know the team who are going to support you going forwards. Also, they know you, so they're aware of your systems, your processes, and have had a good insight into how you work. However, you don't need to be going through a project with Quantic to engage with our managed services team for ongoing support services or change requests. If you're looking for someone to help, we can engage with an onboarding process at any time. We have a number of modules that we can engage with on the Quantic Managed Services team. They generally fall into two categories, a retainer base and an ad hoc time and materials. The favoured option by most of our clients is the retainer-based option, as it provides the most effective and quickest way of obtaining assistance, regardless of the type of query you have. The ad hoc time and materials base is generally more for our clients who have specific teams internally who take the frontline business needs from your users and then engage with us to use our expertise as a second or third line where required. Oops, sorry. As the project methodologies, we're happy to advise on the approach. One size doesn't fit all again, so we're aware of that. And if we understand more about your business needs, we can advise on the appropriate method that we can give you support services via managed services. Okay, so what happens next? If you'd like to discuss Dynamics further, and from what you've seen today, please make contact with your Bytes account manager. They'll be happy to engage with Quantic to assist or discuss next steps on any potential projects. And indeed, I believe we've got a feature in the current Bytes magazine, particularly about NAV 2018. So you'll be seeing some more on that if you haven't already done so. But just to give you a quick summary, the typical Quantic engagement process starts with an initial discovery call to get a base understanding of your business needs. This is generally organised with Bytes and us, so it's generally just making one call and then we'll pick up from there. This is then followed usually by a face-to-face discovery meeting, and again we do prefer to do that face-to-face so we can get to know you better. In this session, we'll discuss your key business processes and your technical landscape. We'll also understand more about your key business pain points and therefore the business requirements, and we'll make some recommendations. This usually moves to a demonstration of Dynamics, sorry, one slide ahead again, sorry. This usually moves to the demonstration of the specific Dynamics product that you may have chosen to progress with. That demonstration will be very tailored towards what you're looking for, and it will explain and prove the understanding of Quantic in your requirements and give you confidence that we understand the approach of what you need to do to be successful. So if you'd like to know more or see more from Quantic on the Dynamics applications, please make contact, and we really look forward to working with you. Okay, so That's concluding our presentation element, and I sincerely hope that the session has been useful today, and you like what you've seen on the product. So we'd like to open up for initial questions before we close the session. We'll do our best to answer those today, and if you think about things later on, then as I mentioned, please engage with your Bytes account manager.
Thank you, Nick, and thank you, Andrea. That was great. I hope that you guys found the demonstrations and the information useful. We have a few questions. So I'm just going to read them out, and the guys are going to answer that for you. So first up, we've got, can queues be created by users, or are they managed by an administrator? Nick, maybe one for you?
Sure, yes, thank you. Yes, either is the straight answer to that. Queues can be created by users or administrators.
Perfect. Another question. Have you come across anyone using tasks with Microsoft Project?
Okay, yes, we're aware of, we use Microsoft Project ourselves, but we're not using that in conjunction with Dynamics NAV specifically. So what I guess the question might be leading towards there is, can MS Project integrate with NAV 2018 projects or job costing? So that's not something that currently is in that product.
Thank you, Andrea. Another question, can Quantic do everything to implement NAV, or do I need a number of partners? Nick, one for you?
Yeah, sure. No, we can do everything from the initial discussions right through to the help desk and ongoing support, as we went through in the presentation. You know, our role is to help and advise you all the way through.
Great stuff. Does NAV integrate with Microsoft CRM? Andrea?
Okay, I'll take that because CRM is also one of my practices, so that's in my remit. Absolutely, there's native integration that allows the connectivity between the NAV and the CRM apps, and ultimately that's not as far as it goes. There's other integration as well. So the online CRM and the D365 Enterprise Sales is now the new name for that. So when you see those terms and the integrations within NAV 2018, yes, that's absolutely there.
Great. And one more question here we have. Does NAV handle multiple companies? Nick?
Yes, it does. It has the ability, NAV has the ability to create multiple companies, and there's also a consolidation feature within the product, and also intercompany trading.
Perfect. So unless you have any other questions, which you can pop into the questions box on the right hand side of your screen, I think that will probably be all for our Q&A. If you do have any questions at a later date, then reach out to your Bytes account manager. We can put you in touch with Quantic, or you can email tellmemore at bytes.co.uk. Just as a reminder, a copy of the recording from today's session will be sent out to you within the next 24 hours. So if you've missed anything or found anything useful that you'd like to rewatch, then you'd be able to on the recording. There is a short survey that will just pop up at the end of the webinar, just 2 or 3 questions, just to gather your feedback really on today's session. So if you could fill that in, that'd be very much appreciated. And I think that's everything for today. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Andrea, and hope you all have a great day.